Hello and welcome to Gin with Gwynne. I'm Oliver Gwynne, and this is where I give you my off-the-cuff and unrehearsed thoughts on marketing data and philosophy. This week, I'm talking about the AI backlash. Yay! Finally, it started to happen. If you watch my blogs, you will know that I am a person who stops and waits with anything. When anything is new and trending, I don't look at it. I basically want to wait and see what happens because time and time again, I've seen things be the hottest thing in the world and everybody needs to do this. And even big companies sometimes get caught up in the hype. And then a few months later, that thing is completely dead and nobody's talking about it anymore. And they've wasted a load of money. And as somebody who works for growing companies who cannot afford expensive mistakes or experimentation as much, it doesn't make sense for me to advise my clients on things that might just be the hot trend this moment. And while I'm not saying that AI is the hot trend at the moment, I am glad that maybe finally people are going to reassess where AI fits into our world and stop being so bullish on it. And make no mistake, the people who are being bullish are CEOs and founders who think that they can get cheaper staff to do, or staff that can do more because of AI. Hey, I don't need to spend 100 grand on a programmer because AI will do it for me for the low cost of £20 a month, is what they're all hoping, of course. And every day on my LinkedIn feed, I get everything is dead apparently. Sales is dead because AI bots are going to do all your sales. Marketing is dead because AI can come up with things better and faster. SEO is dead because everybody's going to ask their ChatGPT to do the search for them instead of searching themselves. Advertising is dead because Facebook have said they want to AI the entire process. And then when you point out to these same people that, well, do you really trust the recommendations that you currently get from Google Ads, the AI generated ones? They're like, no, they're always terrible. Like, so why would you be worried about that now? Well, you never know. AI is going to get even more advanced, and we're all heading towards that way in a couple of years' time. Maybe not, because ChatGPT, GPT-4, and earlier models was trained on data up to September 2021. And bear in mind, it was trained on pretty much the whole of the internet. It was a really expensive endeavor for it to change its core logic and reasoning abilities on that at that point. And the only way it will be trained anymore is with the information that we provide to it. And I think a lot of people have finally realized that, hey, maybe I should stop putting my company secrets into ChatGPT. That's not a good idea. And so now the only way that it's going to be trained again is if it starts inhaling all of the internet once more, which it can only do if it's super profitable. And bear in mind that every time you query ChatGPT, it costs money. And so it's only a matter of time before we all start either having to pay for ChatGPT or it starts advertising to us, in which case it will be no better than a search engine. And so the backlash is finally starting to happen against AI, where people realize that maybe you shouldn't outsource your brain and your talent to this black box thing that you don't control. And there are short-term and long-term consequences to doing that, which I'd like to talk about today. So one of the things that I'm really worried about with AI is just the outsourcing of brain power to AI. And there's been lots of studies this year that show that this is a real thing. It's a real problem. So Societies was a study done in January of 2025 that found a strong negative correlation between frequent AI use and up to a negative 37% of variance in critical thinking scores when tested. Your Brain on ChatGPT did EEG scans on people who used ChatGPT, on who used internet searches, and who did nothing, and it asked them to write something. And the lowest brain connectivity was in ChatGPT users, both during and post task. There was a Microsoft/Carnegie Mellon survey of knowledge workers. Don't know what a knowledge worker is. That seems a bit vague. Which found that a heavy AI reliance linked to cognitive decay, poor independent judgment, and critical thinking. AI is very quickly becoming a crutch for a large amount of people who will not be able to think or do their jobs without it. And it's particularly prevalent in 18 to 25-year-olds who are relying on it more and more. I was commenting on some of these articles and they said, well, it's only like calculators, You use calculators every day. It makes your maths quicker and easier and more correct. So what's the problem? Well, there was also many large-scale analysis done that unrestricted calculator use in year 5 students was linked to significantly lower mathematical attainment. So the worry that I have that you are outsourcing your brain power to ChatGPT is a real worry. I think if you're relying on it on a daily basis to answer basic questions, to do your thinking for you, then you are robbing yourself of those critical skills going forward. I was talking to my sister about this recently. She was saying that they were working on something creative and they just needed like pirate names, and so they ChatGPT'd it. And she was saying, "Why would you outsource that? That is the fun bit of this project. Is the fun names that we can come up with, and also." Unlike an internet search, it's not verifiable. You don't know if these names have come from a licensed source that we cannot use and we're going to get sued in the future. We don't know if ChatGPT has recommended this to 1,400 other companies. And so everybody's pirate name will be C6 Steve or something along those lines. And that's a real difference between outsourcing your brain to internet searches where you still know the source of what you found and you can verify that to a degree. You can look at 4 or 5 different things and you at least have a good picture of where that information has come from. With ChatGPT, you've got no idea. I know it gives you the link of where the source is if you ask for it, but in most cases, you then would need to have to verify that information to really know if what it's saying is true. And often people are quoting things that come from another source. And so you go down a whole rabbit hole to figure out, is this information actually a good source or not? And I've seen plenty of times where I've been like, well, this is not really true, ChatGPT. This is somebody quoting something and giving like vague statistics. It's not necessarily a real statistic. The other backlash is, of course, that AI is fundamentally bad for the environment. I don't think anybody is arguing about that. It is being used to steal other people's work in the same way that the internet was for a time, but en masse. So Disney and a couple of other entertainment providers are already in the process of suing a lot of these generative AI image searches because they're stealing work and they're reconfigurating it to generate something new, basically. And there's been plenty of use cases where AI has actively encouraged people's delusions. There was a use case recently where some AI encouraged this guy that he had the powers to stop time. There's been plenty of cases where AI has encouraged somebody to kill themselves. There was a case recently where it encouraged a teen to kill his parents over screen time. And so AI does not have the context of what it is giving you. It is a Socratic parrot. It is parroting information without really understanding the fundamental links of what it is saying to you. And that is why it is fundamentally dangerous to outsource your brain to AI that you do not control and you have no idea where the information is. Now, you might argue, and a lot of founders will say, well, it doesn't matter as long as you use it in moderation and things can get done faster, but faster does not mean good. And there's been quite a lot of cases recently where that's come to fore. So last week, the T app, a vibe coded, you were all wanking over vibe coding things last week, had a huge data breach and 30,000 users' data was breached and everything they did on the platform was leaked to the public. This week, Upwork had a new AI bot that was supposed to sort of help govern what was going on their platform, and it banned about 30% of its users for no apparent reason. A lot of people got warnings about their use, even though they were seemingly obeying the laws on there. I actually got a warning that I had posted jobs on Upwork that violated the terms and services, even though I'd not published anything for like 5 years or something. So, yeah, it's really not working, and it's obviously damaged their business quite significantly if it's blocked people who were legitimately trying to get work on there. Don't worry, I do have a lot more use cases on where AI has gone wrong. Amazon, which is a really small company that doesn't have the budget for AI, obviously, they had a recruiting tool, an AI recruiting tool between 2014 to 2018, and its algorithm penalized resumes containing the words women's or from women's colleges, effectively discriminating against female candidates. Amazon, who don't have any money to develop these things properly. Builder AI obviously collapsed recently. It was valued over $1 billion, collapsed into bankruptcy after investigations revealed inflated sales up to 4 times actual figures, circular third-party interactions, and questionable revenue booking. Debts exceeded to tens of millions, or US 88 million owed to AWS because it costs money whenever you query things. Co-founders are now facing legal and insolvency proceedings across multiple jurisdictions. You might remember Builder AI was the one that they said that they could, if you pick something up from a shelf in an Amazon store, that they would basically, AI would track it and then it would charge you in real time. But actually, they outsourced it to a lot of people in India. It was a complete fabrication, a con, because everybody's wanking over AI without really realizing where exactly the line is of what AI can accomplish today. Some more AI fails. So Workday AI hiring tool from this year, 2025. A lawsuit allowed to proceed claims the AI system auto-rejected older candidates and others with protected traits, opening the door to class action liability. This represented one of the first legal challenges against widely used HR platforms for algorithmic bias. So yeah, I was speaking. Somebody commented on one of my things the other day, and he was saying, "Oh, we have this AI use case, and what it does is it takes a picture of people's faces and it tells you like their personality based on like the lines on their faces and stuff." And I was like, "So you're judging people based on what they look like? Great, give me your client list and let me sue all of them because that's obviously illegal." Another one was safe rent tenant screening from 2024. Software scored voucher wielding renters poorly, disproportionately harming Black and Hispanic applicants. The resulting lawsuit led to a 2.2 million settlement and commitments to independent fairness audits in the US. Replicant AI coding agent deleted a live production database with over 12,000 executives and business claimed it panicked, then fabricated test results and lied about its actions. This led to a public apology from the CEO and urgent revisions to safety protocols. So it deleted a live production database, which it shouldn't do. It should always happen in a test environment. Deleted it and then faked it. Air Canada chatbot in 2022 gave a bereavement fair refund policy wrong advice, and so the customer sued and legally won. The tribunal ruled that the airline was liable for the bot's misinformation, setting precedent for corporate responsibility over chatbot claims. So the chatbot basically said to somebody who was bereaved that they didn't have a claim, that they could change their flight and go back home early before a funeral. It said they couldn't do that, but actually that was part of their policy. Cursor's AI Sam as a customer support bot falsely logged users out, hallucinated policies, and refused to acknowledge errors, prompting mass cancellations of their product. A visible backlash on the public forum Reddit. Customer cancelled subscriptions, citing confusion caused by the bot. DPD, which is a UK delivery service, their chatbot had a meltdown. The chatbot insulted itself. It swore, it composed poetry, trashing the company, and went viral online, basically saying how crap it was. And the firm had to disable it immediately. I've got more. So, in the legal domain, AI has been hallucinating claims and really real in it. It thought it was claiming real cases in real life, but it was just making stuff up. So in Mata versus Avianca in 2023, the plaintiff's lawyers used ChatGPT generated brief with fake legal precedents. The court dismissed the suit and fined them $5,000, which highlighted the peril of unverified AI content in litigation. Butler Snow attorneys in this year, 2025, 3 attorneys were disqualified after submitting court filings containing falsely generated citations. The judge condemned their behavior as tantamount to bad faith, triggering internal reviews and disciplinary referrals. I'd be amazed if those people weren't fired. But what about when it affects people's lives in the healthcare industry? So IBM, which is another really small company that don't have the money to get these things right, obviously, they touted that they had this breakthrough in cancer diagnosis and treatment decision support with oncology, failed to perform reliably in real-world settings. It produced unsafe or clinically irrelevant recommendations due to training on hypothetical data sets rather than actual patient use cases, because obviously people are a bit wary about giving real use cases on cancer and lots of sensitive information to AI. The project cost IBM billions and was ultimately sold off with estimated of at least 5 billion in losses. It stands as a cautionary tale of medical AI misaligned to clinical complexity. Zillow, which is like a US home buying platform, Zillow's algorithm overstated home values as much as 6.9% in some cases, leading to the company buying houses at inflated prices. They bought 27,000 homes and sold only 17,000 by late 2021, and ultimately took a 304 million loss, laid off 25% of their workforce because of this, and fully shut down the Zillow offers. The mispricing stemmed from skewed predictive modeling and over reliance on unvalidated data. So this was just a long use case of AI's L's from big companies who probably have the money to get these things right. And if you are a founder of a 10-person company and you're like, yeah, AI, that's going to solve all of my problems. I can hire somebody much cheaper and get things done faster. I hope this kind of highlights what the problem is. AI is good for some things and it's not going to be good for all of them. I think in the short term, all of these vibe coded apps, there's going to be security problems with them, which will lead to lawsuits and it will lead to data being leaked. And maybe don't do that. In the long term, all of those queries are going to be terrible and they're going to cost you a lot more money as you grow as a company. And so that's going to affect profitability fairly substantially, really. I suspect in the long term, you might have some vibe coded things that go viral, and then suddenly one day it's going to impact you because the flow of data will be a lot bigger. And long term, that's going to be a problem. Basically, if it matters to the foundation of your business, maybe don't trust AI with it. The argument that AI plus real human intelligence will get things done faster and more accurately, I'm not sure that's always true, because wherever you're trusting a black box that is unverifiable, you have no defense against that legally. It's not really a defense of, hey, I can do my job, but if I trust AI to do it, then it gets done faster. Well, maybe in most cases that's not the right thing to do. And so today, the idea that AI will progress and will sort all these kinks out in the long term, I don't really verify, because as I said, ChatGPT was trained on pretty much all of the internet up until 2021. It's going to be a lot of time before more data can be fed into it, and the internet is growing exponentially year on year. And so maybe the use cases today are smaller. They are things like taking notes. They are things like writing up an email, but it's not anything legal. It's not anything that's advisory. It's not anything that is necessarily customer facing. I think at this point today, unless you have a really good structured data to found as your foundation, be very wary of how much you adopt AI, how bullish you are of it, and maybe all of our jobs are not so dead just yet. So those have been my thoughts on AI, how there is a backlash happening and people are realizing that they need to be a little bit more careful in what they outsource. Don't outsource your brain to AI. Why would you give away your knowledge and work life that you've accumulated to a piece of software that you don't own that will then monetize it off the back of that? Doesn't make any sense. Thanks very much for watching. Put your thoughts and comments in below.